Welcome
I'm
back
back.
to 3 Fries Short.
Wait,
We're back
officially.
officially.
Oh, no.
Do we need to play the opening music again?
Oh,
Yeah,
wait.
we're gonna.
Hold on, we're
Oh.
starting all the way back. We're doing it.
Oh,
I'm,
sorry.
I'm
Okay.
making the executive decision.
Stand by.
Dr. Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the job for Teal, he's part of the deal with his trusty Goa'uld. It's just a regular day at Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
Chevron 1 encoded. Chevron 2 encoded. Chevron 3 encoded. Chevron 4 encoded. Oh no, this is gonna happen. Chevron 5 encoded. Chevron 6 encoded. Chevron 7 flies. We have a stable world.
Welcome back to round 2 of 3 Fries Short, Unearthing the Stargate.
Welcome.
I'm your
I don't know
co-fry,
what we're at
Sarah.
at this point.
Okay, we have co-fry Sarah. I'm co-fry Christina.
I am your co-fry, Rebecca.
Ooh, and
Excellent.
we have a random scary co-appearance in the background.
Ooh.
Hi, Scary.
She
Very
won't
cute.
last. She won't last. Yes, welcome, Craig and Jeff. You guys got the intro because you got the second intro. So
You got the second
you
intro
got the
because
second intro.
nobody was here for the first intro, and then we had issues and things to take care of. So now we're officially starting.
We are officially
They
started.
were like
We are back.
sidebarring for 15 minutes. And like before we when we record, we typically get on early and just like chit chat and
It feels weird to try to hop straight in without the chit chat.
yeah.
Well, I mean, we can
up.
people if they want to join for chit chat, and then we just make a deal to cut it out. I'm okay with that. Like,
That
I
could
gotta have
be
a chit chat time.
a Patreon perk. Useless
Yeah.
chit chat. Not useless,
Useless.
but
Chit chat.
random chit chat before and
I
after.
was about to say perk and useless probably shouldn't go together, but you
Yeah.
know.
Exclusive behind the scenes,
Mm.
behind the veil, chaotic.
Yeah.
Oh
love
my god!
it.
All right, so we're on season 3, episode 4, Legacy,
Mhm.
Correct.
and I am 1000% because that's a real percentage freeballing this one because I have not done my rewatch, but I felt it appropriate. I didn't feel like I wanted to force it because this is Daniel's spiral, as I almost spiral my mic. So this will be a fun one.
Yeah.
Did
this
we-
is a good one?
Do we even have any fry box?
I don't think
I
so.
don't think so. We're just like
No.
another week closer to your marathon,
I think
So excited.
which will
I
be
think
meeting up.
we've all just been like this past week. I don't know. I feel like all of us have been kind of feeling similar ways because like our text chat with each other was a little quieter. It's like everybody
Yeah.
just kind of like, let me just get through the week. Like
I just
That's what it
came
felt like.
back. I had to take 2 weeks off from work, so this week was my first week back. So I'm like dying. It's always
Mhm.
rough coming back after that, but that's the last time I'll have to do it because of my new position. I don't have to do it anymore and
Yay!
waste 2 weeks of PTO all at once. So
that's awesome.
Yay!
That's exciting.
Yay! We got this. We
Um,
got this.
so,
side note, I may
Yeah.
since y'all are surprising me at my marathon,
Yeah.
maybe we can get Aki to come say hi.
yay!
That would be fun.
Maybe, like meet Aki.
I would love that. We are trying to get there like late morning, early afternoon. So
Mhm.
we'll ETA to be
On
determined-
Saturday.
On Saturday, yeah.
Okay.
On Saturday.
Cool.
So we'll have plenty of time so that way you don't feel like it's late for you. Because
Yeah.
we're gonna pick up Sarah early in the morning, Sarah and Adam.
Sounds
So
good.
anyway, we just excited.
I was
It'll be
actually
fun.
looking on Amazon because I think I sent it to you guys, but like there's like little French fry plushies.
Mhm.
They're so cute.
But so while I was looking, I saw this, and I'll send it to you guys in our group chat. And I don't know if Rebecca, if you can throw it up. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I buy that and wear that? You can find me at the marathon better.
Hold
what do
on.
you think?
Well, do I need to be your twin? Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Sarah,
Should
will you get a yes. I need one.
Can you just get 3 of them and then I'll pay you back for mine?
Absolutely.
not
Well, there's only
running the
5 left in stock, so
I'm not running
buying
the
them
marathon
now.
in it though. I'm sorry, but
Okay,
Let's
Sarah,
see.
can you just get 3
Yeah,
and then
I want to
we'll
make sure it'll get here for sure.
everybody in the chat, hang tight. I got you. I'm about to about to put this up.
And Sarah, we can contemplate if we want to look at having it come to me because sometimes in the Bay Area, Prime is a little bit easier getting stuff quicker. If you want me to look or send me the actual link.
I'm looking now. I think it said.
It's amazing. This is so good, y'all.
I think I
Hold
can get
on,
them
I
by
got
November 1st for sure.
French
you.
fry.
Are y'all ready for this? You
It's
ready?
so
I don't
good.
know. I don't know if you are ready for this, but
It's gonna be great.
This is it.
But then but I
Um,
want to then customize it to put like our logo like on it.
Oh,
that
that
could
would
be
be cool.
done.
We could pin
just
Colonel
put the
Dave's
patch
pat-
on
or,
it.
Yeah,
Just
the
put
patch.
we got
Yeah.
this.
Well, let me double check. I want to make sure there's none that look better because that one. let me
I mean
search.
that we're
Pretty
committed.
amazing.
Hat.
It's pretty
It's
amazing. Oh.
amazing. I think he just needs to be the honorary 4th member of this podcast.
He's kind of got that smirk. There's like a little bit of an eyebrow raise going on. Like
He's like, this dumb shit. Get this off my head.
he's like, hey, and yeah, they
You
were
know
like,
what it is?
okay,
He's
next
like-
picture you got to put this on.
But you know what? He's like, he tells his friends he's a model, and they're like, oh yeah, send me some headshots.
This is like the front page of his portfolio. America's Next Top Model in the building.
Oh
That reminds
my
me-
He's
God.
going places. Poor guy. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that
This is not
reminds
a
me of a
personal attack.
story that my aunt told me. She was at a bar. She was getting hit on at a bar by some like tragically ugly man. And he was like, "Yeah, I'm a model." And she's like, "What do you model? Shoes?" Because he was like so unfortunately unattractive.
Hmm.
But
You know what?
He was like,
He could have been a
"Listen,
great foot model
maybe."
or like a hand. I always wondered like how people do the hands. I don't know. What
Well,
they do.
first of all, have naturally beautiful hands instead of these like fucking witch hands that I have.
I don't know.
Like,
I have tiny hands.
I have like
They're tiny.
grandma hands. They're like veiny and like.
no, yeah,
Stubby.
like I have so many I went to a palm reader and she was
Oh.
like, "Oh my god, you have so many lines in your hand." I'm like, "Yeah, I know, girl."
What?
Like, yeah.
Show me your hands. Oh, Sarah, we're like the same. Everybody who's listening, we are showing our palms to each other.
Any
yeah.
astrology girlies out there,
Read our palms.
right? I was like, "Yeah, girl, there's a whole book on this bitch. Like, read away."
I got
I
a lot
love
of
it.
different lines since picking up stretchers, so
Oh,
I don't know
believe
that I
that.
buy the accuracy on that. So
Okay, I
Whatever.
have another. Hold on, I have an. Oh, that one's $34.
Okay, so I love how we said we're gonna like kick it off, and then we're like, no, we're still doing our chit chat, and I love this. I'm here for this.
Alright, yeah, so
I'm here for
I'm
this.
purchasing the Fry hats as we speak
Okay.
for Tuesday, November 1st. T's and P's that Jeffrey Bezos pulls through for us because order has
can't.
been placed.
Love it. All right, now we can officially dive
we're
in.
ready to like actually kick
Yeah,
it off.
we're ready. Yes, we're
Let's
good
do
now.
it.
All right.
So, we are talking about season 3, episode 4, which is Legacy. And this is kind of a unique episode because it's a follow up, kind of, where we didn't think we would get one. And I like
Mhm.
that they do that.
Mm.
So, the episode opens up as Chi-Won. They're on an alien world. They're walking through this dark corridor. And these alien structures, they seem to be advanced, but then they also seem to be like just stripped clean. Like someone came and robbed the joint. And the map also has shown there's no signs of life. So they come to the end of the corridor. And it looks like a vault door. It looks like a cartoony like bank vault door.
It's like
yeah, like it's a big circle.
from what I remember, it's
Yeah.
like a little
Like,
overkill.
Yeah, it rolls. Yeah.
Scrooge McDuck like opens his vault and dives into his coins. Like that's the vibe that it
Yes.
gives off.
I
So
do
on
remember this.
on the side of the door, there's this like red stone, which is what they used to open it. And Teal confirms, "Yep, this is totally Gould." And he touches the stone, and the door slides open. So as soon as the door opens, Jack is like, "Woof! What is that stench? It stinks. Something reeks." and they enter the chamber, and Daniel trips over a dead body. But and it's like very withered and decayed and like zombified. It's gross.
Not cute.
Yeah.
Probably wouldn't
kind
smell
of-
too bad at that point.
Yeah, I wonder what like the atmosphere was like. If it looks like, and this is how I know I watch way too many documentaries and YouTube videos, because Ask a Mortician, very educational YouTube video. I bet the air was very dry and humid because they kind of look mummified. They
Mhm.
don't look like slimy
Hmm.
and wet and gross. If it would be like humid, so probably very arid climate on that planet, or at least
you.
in that room.
I've seen one of those,
What? Ew.
Yeah.
and it didn't
No.
smell at that point. That's when then I'm like,
I don't want to.
Hmm. Interesting.
I'm sorry. Story time.
No, I mean it's
No?
just for work, like
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait,
former
hold on.
work. Yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
That's crazy. Well,
Mm,
okay,
Nope.
I'll stop.
We need
I have
to move on.
questions,
You
but I
don't-
don't want to
you-
get. Yeah.
I don't. Mm-mm.
So
moving
okay.
on.
The only
They put
interesting
on.
bit to add to that is that when this scene was playing, because I just watched it, right? And he walks through and he's like, "That's not a good smell," and I'm like, "I know exactly what he's talking about now."
Oh
Like,
no.
That's the only
No.
comment that I have.
They say you never forget that
You
smell.
do not. No, it's very
Yeah.
specific.
Yikes.
Continue.
So, they put on hazmat gear because they're like dead bods. We gotta like, I don't know why they're dead, so we need to like be careful. And they discover that there's multiple dead bodies. And Sam points to a scar on one of them on the back of the neck. And she's like, hold on, they're not human. They look like they're Gould. Dun dun dun. Opening credits. And I don't know if we ever talked about it, but there's two alternative opening credit scenes. You have the like bombastic, very kind of cheesy 90s opening with like all the people and like the action
Mhm.
shot, ooh, hair flowing in the breeze. But then this one is the
Going
more,
along the
yeah,
traveling
the
along
sarcophagus.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think that one definitely ages better. Like it holds up better to today's standards at least, but I mean, come on, that other one is the classic. Like it fits, like it's all camp and
You don't get opening sequences like those anymore, like those
No.
90s.
No, you don't.
like-
It's all too serious now.
yeah.
No, but like if you did, people would be like, "Okay, what are you making fun of? This I can't take this seriously." Like there would be no ability to set a serious tone with it.
Right. So SG-1, they start to examine this chamber and the bodies, and on the inside there's another red stone that would have opened the door, but this one is cracked and broken and it doesn't work at all. And then Daniel points out a symbol on this meeting table, and Teal'c comes in clutch with his common space person knowledge and tells them, yes, A+ for you, Teal'c.
Gold
It's
star.
the crest of the what the hell did they say this?
Linvrest?
Linvrist, is that how it was?
Pretty sure.
And they're a rival league of lesser Gould who challenged the System Lords, and there were 9 of them. And when you know it, they count them all up. There's 9 dead bodies, all 9 of them minor league Gould. That was
They
a joke
did.
that Jack made. He was like, "Oh, so these are the minor leagues. Like the System Lords are. That's the major leagues. These are the they didn't make the cut."
Nope.
So Daniel finds a stone tablet similar to the one they found on Argos. So flashback to Brief
Mhm.
Candle season 1, a Gould Kindle / iPad type of thing, where it's like you turn the page.
Mm-hmm. I
and,
think that's
like,
kind
you
of
read
cool.
more.
Like,
Yeah, they were ahead of their time.
yeah, they sure were.
So he begins to translate it, and it seems to be some kind of battle plan, but he needs that device that turns the page in order to read more. And Jack points out the device is kind of like on the floor under the table. I thought the first time I watched it that it was like literally next to a dead body, and I'm thinking like, why would you grab the thing next to the dead body? But it wasn't. It just kind of looked like there was like fabric and stuff. Like I don't know, it was weird. But he tries to use it on the tablet, and it doesn't work. And then all of a sudden he turns around really quickly and he's like, yeah, I thought I felt something like brush past me.
Freaky.
So yeah, like
Yeah.
there's like lots of scary, spooky vibes in this
Mhm.
episode. Very like psychological thriller horror.
It's very appropriate for like pre-Halloween for us.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. Okay, so then Jack decides, all right, let's pack it up because he's getting a little creeped out and he's just gonna let like the medical team take over. He's like, they can deal with all these dead folks. There's really nothing here for us. Let's scram. So cut to the SGC locker room. Daniel is fresh out of the shower. And Christina, I bet. Getting a show. And it sounds like someone's whispering his name, but there's nobody there. And he meets up with Sam in the hallway, and he thought like, "Hey, was that you calling my name?" Because it did sound like a woman's voice. But she was like, "Nope, wasn't me." And Daniel's kind of creeped out. Also, I don't know if I just noticed this, but they all have like fresh haircuts. I think Sam especially. But then I'm like, wait, when did Daniel like get rid of his floppy, like longer hair? Because it's short now. And I don't remember when it was. I was
When
gonna
did
look
that
back
happen?
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna look back in previous episodes to see when it happened, but Sam's hair looks very freshly cut.
But didn't we somewhere along the way have a conversation around where once the Air Force did consult with them a little bit more about it, they're like, "Hey, like actually those haircuts wouldn't fly like for Sam," and then they did.
Yeah,
Wouldn't have
I don't-
happened yet because her hair is going to get a lot longer before it gets
Oh, that's
shorter
true.
again.
Okay, that's why I
Yeah.
couldn't remember when that happens.
Yeah,
But yeah, they
because
do.
it's like window of opportunity. Her hair is like pretty long.
It's like this bob.
Upgrades. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a bummer because that wasn't my favorite, but
That
I digress.
that was your favorite? I hate that
It
one.
kind of
I hate
was,
it.
yeah.
I hate it.
I remember watching an episode with my dad, and like he was just like, "Man, she looks like crap," and I just wanted to be like, "She is a beautiful, radiant angel." Like, what are you talking about? And I think it was the one when it was like the season 3 finale where there's like they need someone stupider than the Asgard needs someone stupid, and it was Sam. And like she was supposed to look like crap. She had like been up all night. All she had to eat was like these crappy Asgard Starburst foods or whatever they were. Like. You know, like she's not supposed to look amazing, even though
No.
she still does look amazing. Anyway, they all have fresh haircuts. So we cut to the briefing room. They're going over some of the stuff they found and like figuring out what happened. So what we got? Fraser, Carter, Hammond.
We actually have like everybody,
Oh,
so I think we're
God,
gonna have
yeah.
to double up.
All
So
I'll do O'Neill and Teal'c.
I'll do Fraser and Carter.
that leaves me Hammond and Daniel.
You get to be Hammond this
All right,
time.
I can do it. I can do it. Because John's not like staring at me, so like I feel like I can do it.
You got this. I have faith in you. All right. Fraser says Gould, doesn't she? She does.
Mhm.
The Gould died before their hosts. We know this due to a unique protein marker left in Gould bodies or host bodies after a Gould dies. Carter. The same protein marker that was left in my body after Jolinar was killed. Fraser. Yes.
How'd they die, Doctor?
Well, at this point, sir, I can't really give you an accurate answer, and I may never be able to.
Why not?
As with Major Carter, when these Gould symbiotes died, they rapidly decayed and were absorbed by the host. There's no Gould corpse for me to study.
What about biowarfare? Poison, disease, that kind of thing. And then Teal'c says the Gould are immune to such things.
What about the host?
The humans were normal. No wounds, no infections.
Okay, then why are they dead?
According to Teal'c, the door was disabled from the inside. Locked in with no food, no water, they probably died of starvation.
Right now, I'm more concerned with who killed the Gould and why.
The system lords would be the most likely suspect. Teal'c, you kill me with all your words. God damn it. The system lords would be the most likely suspects. And then O'Neill says, but if the door was disabled from the inside, how did the perp or perps get out?
Carter says, maybe the assassins weren't visible, and we're the ones who let them out.
Ritu? You think of what the Ritu were there? And then Teal'c says, Ritu would not spare the host. Ritu weaponry does much damage to the human body. And then Hammond asks Daniel, like, hey man, where are you with translating that tablet? And they're talking, the gate dials, and SG7 is coming home. And Daniel's looking out the briefing room window at the team returning, and he sees one of the Linverse's corpses walking down the ramp instead of the SG member. It's kind of like a jump scare. It's
Ugh.
like really blah.
hmm
but he knows it's not real, or he knows he's seeing something. He doesn't really react to it like, oh my god. But he
Mhm.
kind of like looks at Jack and gauges his response, and he doesn't react. So Daniel looks back at the gate room and he only sees the SG soldiers. So they're kind of trying to figure out like what killed these dudes, like what was wrong with them, why were they trapped in there? If they were all trapped in there, what killed them? Like it didn't get out. So they're trying to figure out like what happened. Meanwhile, Daniel's like slowly starting to lose his shit.
Which like frustrates me about Daniel because of all people, he should know if something was awry, he should have mentioned it from the beginning. But he doesn't. Like he didn't. Like he should have said something right then. Been like, let them know. Anyway, continue. I'm mad at my man
Yeah.
about that one.
Yeah, I definitely think he should have, but I can also understand not wanting to. Like
Yeah.
personally, I think because it's like, what if it's just like, what if I am losing it and it really isn't anything, and I'm just like sleep deprived, or like what if it is me?
Yeah,
like,
and like
not a
he
real
does.
problem.
He does bring it up, I guess, but it's just like, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're about to get into it being brought
He's
up.
like gaslighting himself into thinking like, no, it's fine, I'm fine. Like everything's fine, even though I'm clearly not fine.
Mhm.
That could be a
So
discussion topic for the end. The whole
Yes.
stigma against mental health and people not talking about
Yes.
things. Anyway, hang on to that one for the end.
That's a good one.
hang a lantern on that, or
That's a
put a
big ol'
pin in
lantern.
that, whatever the terminology is.
Mhm.
So we cut to Daniel's office and he's trying to translate more of this tablet. And again, he hears a voice calling his name and the sound of the Stargate dialing. Subtitles, this cracked me the fuck up so much. When the gate is dialing and the chevron is locking, the subtitles say ka-chunk, ka-chunk,
That's exactly
ka-chunk,
what it sounds like.
I love it.
Ka-chunk.
Ka-chunk.
Ka-chunking all the way.
Can we make a shirt or some stickers that just
Yes,
have a
please.
chevron on it and underneath it just says ka-chunk?
Ka-chunk.
Yes, please.
I would buy
noted.
that.
I would.
I would buy that.
We've got a lot of merch to make here. We
Yeah.
can do this. All
So,
right.
He
wanna
opens
read
his
it?
closet door and he sees the event horizon of the Stargate like in his closet. And he knows that he isn't real, but he puts his hand in the event horizon and he's grabbed by one of these dead Linvers corpses. And he shouts out for help, but the corpse like pulls him through. Then we cut to the infirmary. We don't really know what happened. Like, did he just like dump the cabinet on top of himself in reality? Who knows? But it was something like big enough or loud enough to get someone's attention, and now he's in the infirmary. So we have Daniel and O'Neill. You guys
Let's
got
go.
that. Oh,
Let's
there's
go.
some. Is there Teal'c?
No. This
Okay,
is
yeah.
all just the two
Yeah,
of them.
Let's go.
All right, I'll take temporary control of O'Neill.
Mm.
What happened?
Do you believe in ghosts?
No.
Well, neither do I, which means there has to be a logical explanation.
For what?
When we were in the Limvris, whatever chamber, I felt something brush by me, and I've heard voices, and I keep seeing the dead Gould from the massacre.
Where?
Well, last night they were in my closet in like a Stargate event horizon without the gate.
In your closet.
Yes. I don't think they're really dead.
Who? The stiffs in the morgue?
No, the 9 Gould that were using them as host. I translated a phrase on that tablet that I thought meant attack, but when I refined the translation, I realized it means to enter by infiltration.
And you think that's what they're doing?
Yes.
Through your closet?
Teal'c said Limvris were being hunted by the system lords, right? Now, what if they use some sort of technology to transform their bodies into, I don't know, energy or something?
Energy?
Or something. I don't know exactly how. Sam can figure that part out. The point is, they're here. They've entered by infiltration, and now they want me as a host.
All 9 of them?
That sounds crazy, huh?
Yeah. You've got to admit there's some holes in your theory here.
Well, it's a theory, not a proof.
Why are you the only one who can see them? Why didn't they come through my closet, aside from the fact that yours is cleaner?
I don't know. The only other theory I can come up with is that I'm having some sort of a nervous breakdown.
Or something.
So-
poor Daniel.
Jack in this conversation is just like, yeah, 9 of them in your closet. Like the whole time.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it.
But it was interesting because you kind of see Daniel's perspective of trying to make sense of what he's seeing and
Mhm.
figure it out and rationalize it. But then Jack is like, he kind of is like, dude, they're all dead. Like, no one else is seeing what you're seeing. We have no idea, like, what you're seeing, why you're seeing it. And it does sound crazy. Like, it doesn't make sense.
But they've seen crazier things, and like the Blue
Right.
Crystal people, like they like. I'm
True.
sorry. I just don't like Jack being like, no, sounds sketch, crazy. We're not going to look into it. I mean,
Yeah, but actually, this isn't the only episode where they do that to
Mhm.
a member of the team. Like
Mhm.
Carter gets it in that episode with what's his face, the ancient guy,
Mhm.
where they're
Orlin,
like,
yeah.
Orlin, yeah, they're like, yeah, you're crazy. So like this happens, which is funny.
Yes.
It just happens when they appropriately need it to happen.
Yeah,
So
so
Yeah.
big old turn hung on this topic for later.
uh-huh.
When we cut to the briefing room, Jack enters to see Dr. Mackenzie, who is the local shrink. And he's immediately on the defense. He's like, "Oh God, I gotta talk about my
I would be
feelings. This is
too.
bullshit."
If I had to walk into like a therapy appointment and that dude was the guy sitting there, I'd be like, no,
Yeah.
I'm
No,
good.
thanks.
Can I please
Go
request
talk to
a
somebody
lady?
else. Yeah.
Can I have a lady, please? He pissed me off later in this episode too. He was such a negative Ned. I'm like, dude. Anyway, we'll get there. But he is looking into Daniel's episode and he's trying to determine the cause. And Mackenzie points out that 53% of the SG field personnel are treated for headaches. And he thinks Daniel experienced a first break psychotic episode, which may be manifesting full blown, I can't read that word, schizophrenia.
Schizophrenic.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
It's some kind of,
It's some subset, I
Subdivision.
guess, of schizophrenia.
yeah.
You keep
And they
talking,
point
I'll
out,
look it up.
but they point out that the first signs of it are headaches because like Jack's like, yeah, I get
Mhm.
headaches all the time and it's no big deal, like, but then they're like, well, yeah, but headaches are the first sign of this and look at all his other symptoms. So Mackenzie and Fraser are worried that this could be caused by gate travel, which is an interesting concept that they haven't brought up before of like, what are the side effects to our bodies of traveling through the Stargate? Like, are we getting exposed to, like, you know, the thing that comes to mind is like radiation. Like, oh my God, is
Mhm.
this going to hurt us somehow or cause cancer? Or in this case, schizophrenia or some kind of like mental health problem.
Well, yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting because they haven't, you said, brought it up before, and there's been no discourse on it. Other than like in the very beginning, they'd have conversations and like they would be curious about like what's going to happen to their bodies. But after that, they're pretty trusting that like, nope, all is fine. We just come back together and no long term effects. But
Yeah, like we
Mhm.
don't come through with icicles on us anymore, so like we're good.
so something happened. What did you find out?
Hebephrenic or disorganized subtype of schizophrenia is typified by shallow and inappropriate emotional responses. Not really Daniel in this episode. Foolish or bizarre behavior, false beliefs, delusions, and false perceptions, hallucinations. So it's kind of like your standard kind of movie worthy version of schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come.
We
Okay.
do have some Fraser, Carter, and O'Neill. So let's assume I'll be O'Neill.
We Carter.
I'll be Fraser.
Excellent.
Oh, you're gonna
All
get all
right.
the you're gonna get all the scientific techno babble.
I got this. All right. Nobody knows the exact cause of schizophrenia. Some cases are genetic, but there's no history of it in Daniel's family. When it's not genetic, it's environmental, and Stargate is a plausible environmental cause.
I've been through the gate as many times as Daniel, and I don't have headaches.
Well, your body may have some kind of immunity, possibly due to Jolinar.
All right, let's say, for the sake of argument, that it is the Stargate, a theory to which I do not ascribe. Then why don't we just put a little sign at the base of the ramp that says gate travel may be hazardous to your health? I can live with that.
So can I, sir.
Okay, I have to say something about this. Because living in California, I have never thought I was going to die more than when I moved here because there are warning signs on everything. If I enter a parking garage, there's a big ass sign that says warning may get cancer because of auto fumes. So just those little warning signs whenever I see that now, like I never noticed them anywhere else I've lived, but you come to California and like you are warned of death everywhere you go.
Yeah, there's not that many of those here. in
No,
South
no.
Carolina.
Oh, I
at
will send
all.
you guys pictures because now I'm just numb to
Yeah.
it. But like they are everywhere in big bold. You will die in this parking garage of fume inhalation.
Yeah, I know.
yes.
I know California has a lot of like crazy regulations because of
Mhm.
working in the food, like
Mm.
in grocery, and then I also worked for a call center that sold vitamins and like
Mhm.
healthcare supplements. So we had to be aware that like California, if they have certain regulations of like you must if they're called you must say this or like
Mhm.
um working at the grocery store like certain warnings have to be on certain things. So
Yeah.
you guys are a
And
lot more strict, which is, I mean,
I'm all for it. Like at this point, I'm like, I actually like being really well informed and I can make my decisions. Like nobody's forcing anything. Like I still do what I
yeah,
want, but I like knowing. I like that I have to know. I like that they have to tell me.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I think it's only good because of all the crap that companies hide from people. You know, they're hiding way more behind the scenes, and it's like,
The
the,
fact that PG&E is my service provider for my utilities after watching Aaron Brockovich, I'm like,
oh, really?
mhm. Oh yeah,
I'm
PG&E
sure
is
there's
still
no. What was it? It wasn't uranium, was it? What was it?
something 3, something,
Chromium.
whatever.
Chromium.
Oh yeah. So anyway, back on track. But yes, disclosures are helpful.
Yeah. So Hammond, however, cannot live with the little Surgeon General warning slapped on the side of the gate, and he has to shut down operations, at least until Mackenzie figures out what's going on, and if the gate travel really is the cause. So in the meantime, Daniel's being moved to one of those VIP rooms to remain under observation. They basically look like living quarters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I imagine where it's like it's late, they don't want to drive home. It's like I'm just gonna crash in the VIP room
Mhm.
and chill.
Mhm.
But Jack's hanging out with him. They're playing chess. Daniel's distracted, but he still beats Jack, so he's not like that far gone. And then
It's like I should have done
Daniel,
that 2 moves ago. Like,
oh my god, I still won, but not as fast as I normally would have won. And Daniel says he's like, I feel like perfectly fine. And Jack is like, yeah, because it was all caused by stress. Like you're just stressed out, buddy. Um, and he says, I have a very calming effect on stressed out people. And he proposes, let's play a game of gin. So Daniel like gets up to get the cards, and he hears the ka-chunk sound of the Stargate dialing coming from the cupboard where all the games are or whatever. And he glances back at Jack, but Jack obviously doesn't hear it. And Daniel yanks open the door, but there's nothing there. There's no event horizon or dead body. He takes out the cards and returns to the table, and then he suddenly hears a Gould squealing and looks across the table and sees there's one wrapped around Jack's forearm.
Yes.
He can tell it's not real though. Like he kind of knows. He's like, okay, I'm hallucinating right now. This is not happening. But the Gould continues up Jack's arm and enters the back of his neck, causing his eyes to glow. And Daniel just wigs out. He can't ignore it anymore. He jumps up. He like makes a grab for the Gould. He tells Jack there's a Gould in him. He sounds absolutely crazy. And he ends up like passing out as Jack makes a call. Like he picks up the phone to call someone for help. And then we see something shifting under Daniel's skin, which only reminds me of the classic film from 1999, The Mummy, with the scarab beetles, which is pure nightmare fuel for me.
No, thank you.
Yeah. So
No,
we
thank
cut
you.
to a mental health facility, and we see an aide unlock the door to a white padded room. And my first thing, like, these are real. Like,
Yeah.
I've never
they're
seen
not
like a
used as
fully-
much anymore.
Yeah.
They used to be used a lot more, and
I
they're
have
not.
commentary on white padded rooms also for later discourse, but yeah, they're real.
Okay.
They're real.
But Mackenzie and the rest of SG1 enter after this aide opens the door. And Daniel's an absolute wreck. He can't see clearly. This like was fucking tragic, man. This was heartbreaking. He can't see clearly because they took his glasses in case he would use the lenses
Mhm.
to self-harm,
Mhm.
which is so fucking sad.
Mhm.
He breaks down. He's sobbing. Like Michael Shanks was so good in this episode, showing like he's
Mhm.
sweaty or his hair looks like really greasy. He looks terrible. He's like sobbing. He apologizes to SG1 for being like such a head case. Sam looks heartbroken, and she's assuring him that it's not his fault. And then we have some dialogue. They're trying to like tell him that they're working on stuff and trying to figure stuff out, and it might have something to do with the Linvris. And Jack brings up like, "Hey, you remember you thought you felt something brush up against you?"
Mm-hmm. You want us? We wanna
We
read
don't
it?
have because
No,
it's
just skim
pretty
it.
short. But Daniel was like, "It was them. I know you don't believe me, but it was them." And then he starts hearing noises, and he starts to like get scared. He's like, "Oh my god, they heard me talking shit," and like he
Mhm.
footsteps. And he scurries to the corner of this padded room. He's huddling there, like crouched down in a fetal position, and he's panicking and he's shouting that they're coming for him. And he looks up and sees like one of the dead Gould standing behind Teal'c's shoulder, and he's like laughing hysterically now. So he goes from like sobbing and like nervous, and now he's like laughing hysterically, jumping from one like really extreme emotion to the next.
Mhm.
And Jack tells Sam like, "Hey, get the aid, like go get someone." So she knocks on the door, and Daniel lunges for this hallucination that he's seen, but Teal'c catches hold of him. And then we
Mm.
see something crawl out of Daniel and go into Teal'c's hand. And Daniel pulls himself out of Teal'c's grip and he backs away, and the aides arrive. What really fucking killed me in this scene was how upset Sam was, because when you look at it from their perspective, she goes to knock on the door to get the aid, and Daniel lunges. So it almost looks like he was going to lunge after her and attack her for getting the aides to come help, when really he was just trying to attack the hallucination. So she looks super upset and is like, "Oh my god, he was like gonna attack me." It was really sad. I mean, that's how I read it. I don't know if you guys like thought anything different when you were watching this scene.
No, I would buy that. I feel like I was
Mhm.
paying more attention to Teal'c and Daniel in that moment, so I'm not sure that I even like noticed it as much.
Yeah, I don't, because I didn't rewatch it before this one, so I would say my memory of that episode is very much like she has a lot of confused and empathetic fear going on for her. So I
Mhm.
don't know what I can pinpoint on, but like I definitely like she's impacted, and like I think it's, again, we can talk about it later, but it's a struggle when someone you care about, you know that it's not them, and you know that you're not in true danger per se, but they are still acting irrationally and out of control, and you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I think that's how my vibe with Miss Carter is through all of this.
Yeah. But that scene where he lunges, that's what I got out of it, because she was
Mhm.
like, "Oh my god, he was gonna attack me for getting the aides to come help." And that's not, obviously, like he wasn't doing that, but from their perspective, that's kind of how they could only see it.
Mhm.
So the aides pin Daniel to the floor, they give him an injection, and then he hears Michello.
Fucking
So if
Michello.
you remember back in season 2, the episode Holiday, Michello was this old dude who swapped bodies with Daniel, and then he ended up dying. And he hears Michello's voice, and it says, "You have delivered me to the vile Gould so that I may destroy it." So, dun dun, something's going on. We don't know.
Mm-mm-mm.
The rest of SG1 arrive back at the SGC, and suddenly Teal'c doubles over in pain and he collapses. So, something's going on with Teal'c now.
Mhm.
Back at the mental health facility, Daniel is dreaming of when they met Michello. He kept saying, "Yes, in vengeance to fight the Gould." Fun
Mhm.
reminder, Michello is just Michael Shanks in old age makeup, but very good old age makeup and not brief candle old age makeup.
God,
That was very bad.
this is very
It's
bad.
come a
Very
long way.
bad.
Again, I didn't even recognize, I wouldn't have guessed it was Michael Shanks had I not like read it in the credits or the
Mm-mm.
IMDb like fun facts. So we have some more dialogue. There's some Hammond, O'Neill, Fraser. Let's read that.
You want me to keep on Hammond, or you want to take him over?
Take Hammy. I'll take Frasier this time.
All right. Is he having hallucinations like Dr. Jackson?
No, his dopamine levels are normal. Besides, Daniel didn't have the same physical symptoms. They seem to be unrelated.
What are we talking about time wise?
Without another symbiote, a day 2, maybe less. Even if we found another larval Gould in time, there's no telling if it would survive either.
So now they kind of know like the jig is up because Teal'c is now being affected, but it's completely different, and we can't really
Mhm.
help him, which is a bummer.
Hmm.
So, cut to Mackenzie enters Daniel's padded room with a nurse and 2 aides. And Daniel tells him, like, hey man, I'm better now. I don't need any more drugs. I actually want to get all the drugs that I currently have in my system out of my system. There is some dialogue. And you guys can read through that. It's just Mackenzie and Daniel.
Yep.
Sure. I'll be Mackenzie.
Okay,
No,
Daniel.
I hate him. Dr.
Well-
Jackson, I insist you calm yourself. Otherwise, I'll have to have you restrained and further sedated.
Why are you so quick to jump to the conclusion I'm crazy, that I'm dangerous, I'm out of control? It's because I'm kind of acting that way, aren't I? I just need to get these drugs out of my system. Look, doctor, I know you probably hear this from patients all the time, but I think I'm cured.
You're right. I hear it all the time. I'm afraid it doesn't work that way. You don't get well from something like this overnight.
You do if there was an alien organism inside you making you think that you weren't sick when you really weren't.
Hmm. And you found this out how?
Michello told me.
Michello.
Yeah, he's an alien old man. We met on P3C599.
Dr. Jackson, you haven't had any visitors.
No, of course I haven't. You see, Michello is dead.
Dead? Yet he told you there was someone inside you making you appear crazy.
That's a good point. I wouldn't buy that if I were you either. Just do me one favor, okay? Contact the SGC, find out if Teal'c is sick. If he is, promise me you'll let me talk to Jack O'Neill.
I want to know what clearance those aides have, and like if they're
For
listening
real.
to Daniel talk about alien old guys on planets, and they're like, "This guy is next
Wacky.
level." Like,
His cheese has fully slid off his
Right.
cracker.
because
Yeah.
we know Mackenzie knows, but like these other
Mhm.
2 aides that are in the room, they should really have
Yeah.
had them be like, like some reaction shots would have been great to go along with Daniel just delivering this whole
Mhm.
reasoning with himself and everyone that he realizes that he sounds crazy, So been
Oh
great.
God.
Yeah.
God.
But I don't know. Maybe that's mild compared to shit that they normally hear. They're like, this is just another fucking day. Like,
That's true. That's true. Everyone's there for a reason.
yeah. So there's
Alright.
a brief scene of Hammond telling Fraser that Mackenzie thinks there's some kind of change in progress with Daniel. Cut back to the mental health facility. We have Daniel and O'Neill.
Yep.
I can read O'Neill if you guys, if you don't want to.
You
Yep.
got it.
All
All right. Daniel's like, you don't need to walk on eggshells anymore. I'm better.
So I hear. It's not that I doubt you, but why do you think it's happened all of a sudden?
I don't completely understand it myself, but I saw something come out of me and go into Teal'c, and then I heard Michello's voice.
Michello.
Just hear me out. I'm guessing it wasn't actually Michello. It was probably some sort of technological or organic recording. And it said something about delivering Michello to the Violet Gould, which made me start thinking maybe I had some sort of Gould killing invention inside of me, one of Michello's inventions.
And that's what made you nuts.
Well, since I don't have a Gould, a side effect of this invention must make normal people act like they're know.
Nuts.
schizophrenic. Look, Teal'c is sick, right?
Right.
Well, he does have a Gould.
Dun, dun, dun.
Da, da. Smarty Daniel.
Yeah. So back to the SGC, they are hypothesizing that Teal'c needed to make direct contact with Daniel in order for the organism to like sense his larval Gould and transfer into him. And it didn't jump to Jack that night when they were playing cards because Jack doesn't have a Gould, so he wouldn't need to. They do bring up, and I don't know if I put this in here or not. It might be in the dialogue, but I wanted to bring this up because I think Daniel brings up, well, hey, wait a minute. He had a symbiote from Hathor.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't it sense that? Sam says, oh, that Gould left his body before it could. So I'm confused because in that episode, they make it seem like the cryogenic process destroyed it. But now they're saying, oh, the Gould left his body. So do you think like maybe the Gould thought, "Oh my god, I'm freezing cold. I need to get out of here," and then it left Jack.
Yeah,
as-
she says it left his body and died. Like she said both of those. So probably like pieced out, but then didn't get very far.
I'm glad they kind of cleared it up and like went back to that because that was something that I thought of, and I was like, wait a minute, if he had a Gould, like I know we brought that up during that episode, but I'm kind of glad they cleared the air on it now so that there wasn't any
Mhm.
confusion.
Yeah, because otherwise they'd have to write that into a lot of things. It would be very complicated later.
Yeah,
It's easier to be like, Jack, nope, no residue.
for
Nothing.
now.
For now. For now.
So I have some more dialogue. Carter, Daniel, O'Neill. Let's assume our roles, guys.
Assume our positions.
Daniel, those bodies had only been there a month. Michello's been dead for 6 months. How could he be responsible?
What if he planted these killing devices there 6 months ago or a year ago, and the Limvris walk into their meeting and
Like a landmine.
yes, World War I mines are still going off in France today, even though the soldiers that planted them are long gone or long since dead.
You think Michello made this thing, right?
Right?
Well, we crated off everything in Michello's laboratory to Area 51, and it's all in our database. Let's see if we can find something that looks familiar.
So they go through this database, they're examining all the artifacts from his lab, and they find the tablet and like dozens of those page turning devices. There's tons of them. And they're like, why did they make so many? Is that our potential
If you lose
landmine?
those really easily, come on, man. Like,
Yeah. It's like the little
Yes.
stylus.
yeah, it's like you always lose the stylus, always.
Then we cut to a lab, and the tablet and the page turning device are sealed in a glass quarantine chamber. Carter and Fraser are using gloves to examine the items, and then O'Neill is kind of just like in there chilling, watching, and Daniel is observing from the observation room above. So they do some trial and error, and when they pass the page turner over the tablet, 10 of these organisms suddenly slither out.
But
Also, can we talk about how disgusting these things
No.
look?
No.
And
Mm.
I'm just gonna say because it's like snot plus a maggot plus sperm.
Yeah, they're
That's like the vibes that I got. It was gross.
Mhm.
They're just nasty.
mm-hmm.
So
Ugh.
Daniel figures out that's how he got infected. If there were 10 in each page turner, 9 went into the Limvris, and the last one went into him. So it's kind of interesting how it's set up. So like I'm guessing Michello made this tablet with like some juicy hot gossip on it when they're like, oh shit, like these are some like interesting, like this is like Gould tabloid news. Let me turn the page, and they reach for the thing and then they get got.
Mhm.
So it's a pretty clever plan. Clever
really is.
girl. And then all of a sudden, 2 of these little spermies penetrate Carter's gloves, and they all of them escape. They like get out from, I don't know. They're magic. It can just
Called that
squeeze
one.
through. Yeah.
Hmm.
So Sam, Janet, and Jack are now all infected with these snot creatures, and they're unable to leave the lab. They're like, okay, we can't go anywhere. We gotta stay here. Can't touch anyone else. We don't want to give it to them. But also because they have multiple snots in them at once, their symptoms will begin immediately and much more severe. So Daniel took a little bit of time to get to where he was, but they have like 3 or 4 of them in them apiece. So
That's like instant.
yeah,
instant.
and it really does instantly happen. It was so funny. Jack had a really good line. He said, I'd like to apologize in advance for anything I may say or do that could be construed as offensive as I slowly go nuts. Like, he just gave himself a blanket disclaimer of like, I'm really fucking sorry, okay? I can't help it.
Well, I like
Fraser
his like,
jumps on that too, though. She's
she's
like,
like likewise.
Yeah.
yup.
Same.
But Jack and Janet begin to succumb to their symptoms again immediately, but Sam feels fine. She's like, I feel normal. Nothing's happening to me. And Hammond pages Dr. Warner to the observation room to help. And I think I got confused because I was like, Mackenzie pissed me off. It was Warner. Warner was
was
the one
Warner.
that pissed me off.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
So Sam continues to not be affected, and then all of a sudden, 4 of these organisms drop out of her ear and onto the floor dead. Gross, nasty little look.
Mm.
And then she hears the voice of Michello. You guys want to read that?
Sure.
It's Sam and Daniel.
Mhm.
Yes, he said my Goa'uld captor is dead, but I don't have a Goa'uld.
You did.
That has to be it. Janet said that when a Goa'uld dies, it dissolves into a host and leaves a unique protein marker.
So these Gould killing inventions died because they detected a protein marker? Well, that doesn't make any sense. Why isn't Jack immune? He should have some sort of protein marker left over from Hathor's Gould.
No, that Goa'uld left Colonel O'Neill's body and died before it had a chance to take over.
So Sam asks Janet if she can extract her blood and give it to everyone who's infected to cure them. And Warner. Yeah, I'll kind of
Just read it.
breeze through this. Because he's like, no, your blood types don't match, so that's not good. And so I don't know exactly what would happen. I can only imagine that like it would cause your blood to clot and could give you like really massive like internal blood problems if you get someone else's blood that's not your type. So they just want to separate the protein. But Warner is like, nope, you don't have the equipment and it would take weeks to do it, even if you did. And Sam says, this is so funny. She says, come on, there has to be a way. We've got all this stuff. And I remember watching this episode with my older sister, like as children and adolescents. She's like, it's so funny that she's just like, stuff. Like, she's like, look at all this stuff. Like,
look at all this stuff.
We got crap. We can do something. Come
that
on.
was very O'Neill of her.
It
I
was.
enjoyed seeing that come out. But Warner says
it kind of it's that same attitude that Amanda Tapping has in that blooper. Like,
yeah.
we've got a stick of gum, build a nuclear reactor, for crying out loud. She's just like, we got this stuff. Like, come on.
We got this.
All these things and stuff. Like, come on. But Warner, again, he's like being a negative Ned, and he's like, you would need high pressure liquid chromatography to separate. Like, he's just saying like all the stuff that they don't have. And she's just like, okay, fine, I get it. Like, I get the point. But again, very Jack O'Neill of her. Of like someone's bombarding her with a bunch of crap that's like not helpful to her. She's like, all right, fine, I get it. You can chill now. So while Dr. Warner is being completely unhelpful, Janet, in all of her throes of like hallucinations and whatever she's going through, she suggests centrifuge. So she continues to hallucinate, which is making it harder for Sam to understand like what she is trying to say. And Warner is still being completely fucking unhelpful until Janet says, like, he finally understands. And this is how I imagine Janet would say. She's like, hey man, all we need to do is separate the red blood cells. That's what makes the blood incompatible. We can take the rest of the useless junk, leave it behind along with the protein, and then we'll be fine, you clown. Like, it's fine. We just need to get rid of the stuff that's gonna like make our blood clot and kill us, okay? And once Warner is finally on the same page, he can walk Sam through the rest of the process. So as soon as it's done, she injects Janet first, and then goes over to Jack, who's lying on the floor. And it was so fucking funny because he's on his side. She like rolls him over, and he's like, God, you look terrible. She's like, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I gotta give you this.
Yeah. But if that's the worst that he said, you know, like it could have been way worse. Like Janet at one point, she was like, I'm dying, I'm hot, and she's like like undressing herself.
Yeah.
Like,
and then she goes full like sees Sam as a Goa'uld and freaks out.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I wonder if Jack was just like, you know what, I'm gonna roll towards this wall because then like I can't see any of the hallucinations. It's fine.
I'm sure.
Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I can ride it out this way.
Oh man. So they give them the injection of the protein. Janet and Jack both hear Michello. The organisms drip out of their ears onto the floor, dead. So in the infirmary now with Teal'c, they're getting ready to give him the protein, and there's some worry because it's like, well, he's going to have the protein and still have our larval Gould, so hopefully they're not that smart and they'll die. And they can trick them. And they give him the shot. It works. Teal'c like calls out Michello's name. He's like, oh, Michello, you're somewhere. And the team exchanges, like, they're like, woohoo, we did it, yay, happy. And the
Hard
dead
cut to
organ,
credits.
yeah, the organism drips out of his ear, and Janet like scoops it up with like a turkey baster looking thing. And hard cut to credits. The
Hard
end.
cut.
God damn.
So Bonnie watched this one with me, and we got to the end, and the credits
Ooh.
just like came on, and she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, no denouement, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, none at all." I'm like, "Yep, that
Hmm.
happens."
Oh, yeah.
Oh God. Okay, that was. Oh.
So what do you guys think? Like, something that kind of stood out to me was, and this is kind of, I feel like a trope that I've seen before. I can think of two things off the top of my head of people who are trying to convince doctors that they are not insane. So in Terminator 2, was it Rise? Was it Terminator? Whatever. T2. Sarah Connor is in like the mental institution, and she's like trying to convince the doctors that she's not insane, and that like she knows that whatever doomsday is happening,
Mhm.
trying to prevent it, but they're like, you are insane. And then she even tries to do the whole like she can put on a good show and be like, yeah, I was totally making it up. I was in a really bad place. And they're like, no, we know you're lying. Like, you can't trick us. So it's like this concept of just like trying to fight for people to take you seriously and think you're not an absolute like basket case.
Yeah, it's a frequently used trope. I do have an EMS story that makes me go, would I be terribly different from all the people that are like, you're just crazy? Because I transported a guy one time that was hallucinating the entire book of Revelations in his backyard.
Whoa.
Like talking to angels, full out, everything. And of course I was like, yeah, he's schizophrenic. You
Mhm.
know, like that was, so it's like, but what if he had like that thing was about to happen and I'm just writing
Yeah.
this guy off as crazy? Like it's the same exact thing from the other side.
Mhm.
So it's just interesting to be like, when you have it like in a real world like situation and you're like, yeah, he's just schizophrenic, whatever, it's fine. You know, like we would be like that
Mhm.
to somebody like that.
Unfortunately,
Interestingly.
yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think of is American Horror Story, the second season, which is Asylum, which by far to me is like the most terrifying season because you have Sarah Paulson's character who is mistakenly committed and she can't, like, she's trapped in the asylum and can't get out because she's like they write it's yeah
I've
it's
never seen it. I can't do American
that
Horror
one
Story.
that one's terrifying. I wouldn't.
No,
I
I
mean,
can't do it.
it was really good. But out of all of the seasons that I've watched, that was definitely the scariest because it does delve into that. Like, you're wrongfully committed to an asylum, which it took place in the 60s, so it was terrible. Like, it was not like the ones today. So it just makes you think of that trope of like being wrongfully committed or wrongfully pegged as like you're crazy, you have some kind of mental illness. And then the other kind of thing that I was thinking about was how, like, what is reality to one person? What makes something real? Because I forget what class it was or where I heard this from, but when you think about it, all of our senses, everything that we see, hear, taste, touch, smell, it all comes down to electrical impulses. So if your body, your brain is making these electrical impulses fire to make you hear or see something, then what makes it what makes it real? What makes it not real? You're truly, really experiencing it, so it's real to you.
Mhm.
And then it just opens the whole can of worms of like, what is real? What is not real? How do we know if something's real? Then it makes you like question everything in reality. Of like, I could be like hallucinating this whole thing. We could be in the Matrix right now. Like,
Could be. Could be.
nothing is real. Everything is real. Like, you have no idea. Scary.
Yeah. I think the other part of it though is this like portrayal of the trope of like them trying to like explain to the doctors that they're not crazy. But I think a better real life application of that is sometimes in real life. Not better, but different. And relatable to more people than I think they realize is this trope of friends or family or loved ones making someone think that they are crazy, when they're just maybe having like sensory, or they're on spectrum, or there's like bipolar, or there's these things that are very treatable and that are manageable, but with unsupportive guidance, like there can really be a really awful spiral between those people. And I'm just thinking about um like for me, when I watch these episodes of like someone trying to, like Daniel trying to talk about like, I'm not crazy, like I know there's something else happening, but I can't quite articulate it. It for me feels like a little PTSD and triggering. And part of the reason why I also didn't watch it is because like coming out of like a narcissistic gaslighting relationship where you don't trust your own mind, you know something's wrong, but you don't trust it, so you're really not sure what that is, but you try to tell someone else like, hey, can you analyze this for me, like, and instead like they don't believe you right away, like you're not really sure who you can talk to like really get that trust. So then you just do kind of recluse and go like, I'm just not going to talk about it because I don't know how to articulate it. I know it's wrong. And that's a really terrible feeling when you feel stuck, because you know there is someone who would validate you, but you got to go through the Rolodex before you find the person who would actually be the person that you could talk through. And that is so fatiguing because you tell the wrong person, and next thing you know, you're in that padded room, you're medicated, you're injected, and you're not getting the help you need. And that's sad, and that's like for me a conversation to be had about it. But I'm gonna mute. I got kiddo real quick.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Like it makes me think on my past relationship where it was like you feel or you know something's off, but you don't have the words. Like you can't put it to words. Like all I can describe is like this feels icky, this feels wrong. I don't like this, but I don't know why. And like anytime I try and bring it up or figure it out, like I'm made to think that no, it's not a big deal. Like you're just like blowing things out of proportion. Like something that drove this was like a memory that resurfaced, and I was just like, wow, this bothers me so much. Like, and I talked about it on TikTok, and I think I know I sent it directly to you, Christina, but like when you're in a relationship and you have a partner that just constantly shits on everything you enjoy, everything that you like, and it's just like constantly made fun of or constantly belittled, and you're just made to feel like, well, then I guess like I have no interest, or like I guess whatever, like everything I like sucks, or like you just start to think like, and you don't want to share that with anyone anymore, and you want to pull back, and like you don't want to share anything, you don't want to like you're made to think like I'm enjoying something that's like not good or bad, and it's just like really kills your confidence. But then on the other end, for example, like he would want me to play video games with him, and I can't do video games anymore, especially like the certain one, like it stresses me out or it bores me, or I'm like, this is dumb, like I'm harvesting crops and shit, and it's like this is just work. I just worked for 8 hours, now I'm working on a fucking farm in a video game. This is not fun to me. And he would be like, well, explain to me the reasons why you don't like this game. And
No, you don't have to.
Well, I would that's what, like I would be like, it's not fun, it stresses me out, this is boring. And he would be like, well, those reasons don't make sense. And I'm like, what the fuck, like what do you want from me? I don't like, I just gave you the reasons that I don't like this, and now you're telling me those reasons don't make sense. So it's like you're making me think that everything that I like sucks, and everything that you like is amazing, and I suck for not understanding that thing that you like is good. So it just puts you in a really weird headspace where you question everything, and like what is real, what is the reality of the situation.
It's tough because they take advantage, and if we are susceptible to questioning ourselves, like we're prime victims to that scenario. And like it you only see it when you kind of get out of it, right?
Yeah.
And you see that kind of dynamic, and it can happen in relationships, it can happen with friends, it can happen whatever. But the other part is it can happen with yourself. Like you can question yourself when you're deconstructing your own experiences. And like I appreciate that this episode, I don't think it handles mental illness poorly, especially for being in the 90s. I think it handled it, and I think some of the dialogue that Daniel had about like the pushback about like, so you think I'm crazy, you think I'm this, you think all that, just because of these scenarios, like I do think that was not normal to be addressed in such way. But I how do I want to say it? I think the concept of them putting him in a padded room, though, and like taking all that stuff away, like he showed no signs of being a suicidal threat. He showed no signs of all those things, and that's the one part that really bothers me is like this trope kind of going back into that. Because
Yeah.
it's like, okay, Sarah, heaven forbid you didn't like all those things. Okay, you're going to get labeled as crazy because you're against the grain, or whatever it may be in all of our scenarios. But the initial extreme response is that padded room extreme portrayal, and it's much more delicate than that. It's much more nuanced and intricate, and I don't love that portrayal. I think like I'd be curious in a modern version of this episode, maybe it would have like I'm curious how they would have shown it. I don't think the padded room would have passed the vibe check. Like it would not be the case. Like he doesn't need he hasn't shown self-harm. He's showing, like man, he's hallucinating. There's no self-harm there. But I don't know what the scenario would be. Like keeping him in a safe room.
I feel like they would have medicated him, and he actually probably would have been discharged pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just let him
That's what
stabilize
tends
it.
to happen these days. Yeah.
Which
is like kind of not great either for, there's plenty of people that do need more help and who are, in such a way that they are non-compliant with those meds, and they like get themselves into like worse situations. Like that was a regular call, a regular transport, like every day, one of those, like it happens a lot.
Well, and that's my problem. And I'm going to go grab something and come here. So when I was in the worst of my situation with my ex, I was in the type of relationship where I was forced into a space where I was highly medicated. I was not in control of the narrative. And so that is really that, like forcing the immediate medication is also problematic for me because I'm gonna mute my camera or mute and I'll come right back. I'll show you guys. I keep the bag of like all the pills I've ever been prescribed or put on as like a reminder of like how bad it was, and like to just never. And I keep it in my cabinet, but like this will be shocking. So y'all,
okay,
Jeopardy music, whatever. But I'll be right back.
Yeah, I'm mostly talking about like the concept of people that are diagnosed schizophrenic who go off of their meds. A lot of them are drug-induced schizophrenia, or they're using drugs to medicate instead, like illegal drugs instead of regular medication. And they end up on the street. They end up in really bad situations. We pick them up, we take them to the hospital. The hospital stabilizes them for the moment and then discharges them. And then the cycle just keeps repeating over and over and over
it's
again.
really it's tragic, and that's something in our society like we fail people on constantly. And then you have the phenomenon of people who are taking their meds. Oh my god.
Then you have this on the other side, like you have the like over medication for no reason, like
then,
so there's no good happy balance to like all of it.
But like in the middle of all that, there's got to be intentional conversational discourse, and like I'm such a huge fan of like mental therapy, of like meditation and connection to your mind, and trying to like talk through safe spaces with psychotherapy and like psychologists, and trying to gain some autonomy on that, because it is needed in some cases. But that immediate slap of it, like without a full deep dive, like with a professional, it's bad. Like it's I don't know. We're obviously still growing in that industry with medical, and I'm happy we're better than we were with it. But yeah.
And I think as women and female presenting people, we have a very unique experience when it comes to mental health, because in the medical field, women's pain, women's issues are not really taken as seriously. And I've seen it so many times where it's like someone goes into the ER because they're in terrible pain, and the doctor's like, oh, you just have period cramps. And it's like, no, my appendix actually burst and I could be going septic anymore. Like stuff like that. or where it's like people like women who have had since they've had their first period have had terrible painful periods or have been bleeding 3 out of 4 months consistently for years, and then it's like, yeah, I had cancer this entire time.
Mhm.
Like, it's just not like years and years and years they go through this, you go through this, and it's like they can't figure out why. They can't give you a solution other than to just like scoop everything out. And
Well, no, it's
but I wanted to I couldn't get it yet, but there's a book that I want to read called Invisible Woman, where it talks about
Mhm.
how basically the world that we're living in is built around men. So you think like car crash test dummies, all based off of men,
Mhm.
like the size, height of a man, or you think of like hormones, how women's hormones are so much different, how our bodies can interact with medications much differently based off of the hormones that we have. You think of postpartum depression and whatnot, and how that's really not talked about, and how your hormones go from one extreme to another after you have a kid, and women are left so alone, and they're just, oh, this should be the happiest time of your life. You just had a baby. You should be glowing. You should be happy. And it's like you're
Mm-mm.
struggling.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
can barely get out of bed. And then like you have like postpartum depression, and like that can be a really, really dark place. And postpartum psychosis, which ends up when like
Mhm.
they drown their whole family in the bathtub because their Mormon husband didn't believe them and was like, oh, I'm just gonna leave you with the kids all day, all 6 of them, while I go to work.
I'm gonna tell you guys the truth that this is fine for people to be out there, and it's no surprise because we all have our own mental health. But like these journeys are really healing to talk about. But I was very close to being admitted after my postpartum because I felt I was a danger to myself and my child. And I did not want, and I did not actually go visit my child for a little bit at the hospital so I could get help for it because it is so real. And it is when you were invalidated. I actually had to go live with my parents for a while because I wasn't validated in my experience. But it is, if I actually still to this day, I'm like, if like, I think it's a blessing that my child, I'm going to say, like, I was like, what if my child actually like was home and healthy with me and not in the NICU? Like, I'm actually terrified of how deep and dark it got for me, like of how that would have gone down. And like, and it's so hard because we're not allowed to talk about that or supposed to talk about that, but it's awful. It's terrible. But like at the same time, like we were saying, like with us and like how it gets treated, like on the flip side of it, we're talking about mental health. Like, I don't really know that like men have a really safe space in any way when it comes to like that realm at
No,
all.
you're
Like
right.
we're like, okay, yes, at least women, they talk about it and they whatever,
With
and it's
each
not
other.
perfect with
Yeah.
each
We can
other,
talk
but
about
like
it with each other.
men,
And that's really unfortunate
nothing.
because it all goes back to just, here's the buzzword, sorry, the patriarchy,
Mm-hmm.
because men suffer too, and it's really, really fucking unfair because it's a stigma of like men talking about their emotions and how they feel, and they feel like they can't be vulnerable, they have to be strong all the time. And I'm here to say, no, you don't. Like,
No.
I have seen Adam cry. I hope you're not watching this, Adam, but like he's he can be very emotional, and that's good. Like, I don't want to be with someone who's like a fucking bump on a log and doesn't talk to me or have any healthy emotions.
Yeah. And I think some responses that might be like, it's one of those like handle with care scenarios,
Yeah.
right? Like I don't blame someone in the beginning for having trouble or navigating that very slowly, because maybe their experiences with it were the 1 or 2 times in their life that they did show it.
There are
Didn't go
some really
well.
nasty women out there who would say shit like, you're weak, you're pathetic.
Mhm.
Like, there really
Mhm.
are, and that's really sad because they're not helping the situation at all.
No.
So if you are a man and you've had a loved one, a partner say that to you, I'm sorry, like that's really fucking shitty. And you should be able to have conversations and talk about your mental health and talk about how you feel with your partner and not fear that judgment.
Mhm.
Because I've seen comments from women. I'm not gonna be like, no, it doesn't happen, because that's exactly what people say to us when we talk about what happens. But
Mhm.
I've seen it when it's just like, you're pathetic, you're sad, you're disgust. Like it's
Mhm.
not right.
No, it's not. So we got a lot of work to do still. Like, and this is why I love conversations like this. And like, a Stargate episode could bring this type of conversation out. Like,
Yeah,
it's so necessary. And there's
absolutely.
yes.
100%.
All right. We got anything
All
else on
right.
it? That's a really deep
don't think
for me. I
so.
think I need to end
I
on
think
that.
the big takeaway
Yes.
or
Very much so.
takeaways. What's up next time?
Let's take a look. Oh, it's I saw it earlier. It's the one with the kid and it's a kid episode.
Learning
It's like
curve.
good episode. Oh, learning
Yeah.
curve.
That one, yeah.
Cool.
Mhm.
Oh my god, and then we get point of view. Holy shit.
Mhm.
Yeah, we getting up there. It's
Yeah.
gonna like
I
shit's
didn't
getting
realize that one
real.
was so early.
Getting real.
Oh, that
Is it
fucking
that it's
wig.
so early, or is it that we're in season 3 now? Like,
I thought that episode was much further in season 3 though.
oh,
I didn't think it was
Yeah.
so early.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Fucking
It's about
wig.
halfway.
Ugh.
All right. Who's closing it? Is it my turn? Whose turn?
Sure, it can be a temp close because
Oh, do we have the
I'm supposed to have one. Craig the Wraith is supposed to be sending me one, so
Yeah.
Okay.
so
All
it's just a temp one.
Okay. Well, all right, let me okay. Let me think about this. Do I want to be Daniel or do I want to be Hammond? Y'all have to tell me.
I feel like you should be
I'm not-
Hammond. Like I've closed it as Hammond, and it's always a fun time. So maybe you should close it as Hammond.
Oh, I'm gonna close it as Hammond. Okay. Okay, hold on. All right, Daniel. So I know you're going crazy in there and you think that you're seeing all these things, but I got some concern for you. We're gonna have to shut this thing down. We can't have anyone going through gate travel. Y'all, we gotta close that iris.